What's going on, everybody? GemMint here with today's new comic book day reviews. It's Wednesday, January 19th, and as always, I'm going to go through this week's comics as spoiler-free as possible. And being that it's Wednesday, it's also Whatnot Wednesday. I'm going live today at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I've got comics, I've got Omnibus. We're on the road to 2,500 followers there. Make sure to download the app and follow me there. If you use my link, you'll actually get a $10 credit towards your first purchase, so come hang out with us on Whatnot. With that out the way, let's jump into the Image books first, and we're going to start with Primordial. We have issue 5 here. Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, and Dave Stewart. It's kind of going in a different direction now. It's less of the animals in space and more on the humans down on Earth. Laika's owner, I guess, having some type of connection with Laika, whether it's supernatural or technology. Interesting stuff here, and it looks like we're going to have a clash of whatever supernatural beings have a hold of these animals and Earth. So pretty exciting stuff. Amazing artwork and paneling as always. Great series so far. Next up, we have A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. We're on issue 4 by Rick Remender and Andre Lima Araujo. I like this one. This is more so told with the art rather than the dialogue. This guy that gets mixed up in black market, assassination, mercenary type of stuff. He's trying to save the person that he stumbled upon to kill, and now he's in trouble himself. So fast pace, intriguing, page turner type of story. I'm into it. Then we have Time Before Time. We're on issue 9 by Shalvix, McConville, Palmer, O'Halloran, Otsme Alehu. I like the story and the premise. I just find it a little confusing. I have trouble remembering who's who and what faction they're on. Are they good? Are they bad? Who's the main character? I don't know. It's getting tougher and tougher to hang on to this one, but I kind of like the callback to the first arc here with who I thought was the main character and his friend that died, that they were supposed to escape their timeline together. And what if he goes back before that happened? It's almost like, why didn't you think of that before? Not sure if that's the rabbit hole they're going to go down, but hope so, because that's the only thing that I really got out of it. Besides that robot that wasn't supposed to be able to travel through pods in time, but it was able to. Now it's running amok. Anyway. I also checked out a new #1, Bolero by Image, by Wyatt Kennedy and Luana Vecchio. So this kind of reminded me of Rain from last week, where it seems like it's a relationship type of story, but then it gets into the real thick of it at the end here. And it almost plays like the OA. Have you ever seen that, the original Angel, the show that was on TV back in the day, where you can kind of go into a different multiverse in a body of your own and live that different life if your life is really in the shitter? It's got some sexual gratuity going on here. It's got some mature themes and elements and an interesting story. Kind of familiar, but I still dug it, man. I'll check out issue 2. Then we have Lady Mechanica, issue #2. This is by Benitez, Sotelo, and Heisler. I liked issue 1. I liked issue 2 even better. It reminds me of early Spawn, like reading that as a kid back in the days. It has that mature, gritty, violent type of style to it. Even the paneling is askew, and it feels like early Image days. This is going to the younger years of this Lady Mechanica, of her in this kind of home for deformed children and going from a cell into like the girls' obedience room or whatever. It's pretty cool. Not a lot of action in this one, more psychological, kind of giving us backstory on the character. But I'm digging it, man. This little girl with these kind of like Battle Angel Alita, but more horror and more of like that. What's that era called? It's like the Wild Wild West Will Smith movie era, where it's like modern but old at the same time. Next up, we have The Silver Coin, issue 8. This one's by Matthew Rosenberg with Michael Walsh. Love The Silver Coin. Amazing anthology series, horror type of stuff. This one, it's a little bit different in the sense of the other ones, where the main character doesn't really get the silver coin. It's kind of like this janitor seeing the silver coin who was purchased by this rich Wall Street guy in the building that he cleans, and him just wanting it, kind of like Lord of the Rings style, which is where you can see the slot bucket with the blood and everything. So this one was told a little bit different, but same kind of concept, man. If that silver coin's around, everyone's in trouble. And the last one from Image, big week for Image, man. King Spawn, issue 6, Sean Lewis, Javier Fernandez. If you grew up reading Spawn like me, you're going to love this. It's bringing back all the key players from the very beginning. Billy Kincaid has been teased for a while. Terry Fitzgerald, Jason Wynn. We have Priest, who is She-Spawn now. So it's kind of like all the key players being moved together in this big epic battle, going back to show how Jason Wynn was in hell with Billy Kincaid. Gritty, Spawn stuff that we love to see. Big epic kind of fights and such. Great stuff. All right, now we can move on to Marvel. So let's start with this Silver Surfer Rebirth. This is issue number 1. Throwback book, throwback team with Ron Mars, Ron Lim, Don Ho, and Israel Silva. I really like this one, man. It felt like reading an old school Silver Surfer book and then tying it in with Captain Marvel, which I appreciated so much more after recently reading and reviewing the death of Captain Marvel, tying it into his son. Great stuff here. If you're a Silver Surfer fan, Ron Lim fan, 90s stuff, you should pick this one up. Then we have Silk number 1. So Marvel had a lot of number 1s this week. I don't think I picked up all of them, but Silk by Emily Kim, Takashi Miyazawa, and Ian Herring came out. Dope cover by In-Hyuk Lee. Not digging this story, man. I tried to pick up Silk when the last number 1 came out, and it feels like the same thing. It just feels like a clone of Peter Parker, but it's a girl. She's been in a bunker, so there's a little funny nuances with the woman out of time, fish out of water type of thing, but it's just like, why am I reading this? Like, what's the difference between this and Spider-Man? Which seems a little biased because I liked Ben Reilly's Spider-Man number 1, but more so because this is the Ben Reilly Spider-Man that I wanted out of Amazing Spider-Man that we just weren't getting until maybe now when we go back. So this one is by DeMatteis, Baldion, and Sylvia, The Humanity Agenda, part 1 of 5. No Beyond Corporation stuff in this whatsoever. It gives you kind of like a little history lesson on Ben Reilly if you're not really that familiar with the character, which is good for a number 1, making it a good jumping on point. And having this dope battle with Carrion. I always liked Carrion from the Maximum Carnage days. He's back, fleshed out a little bit more as well. I really like this series, and it's funny because it's literally a clone of Peter Parker, but he feels so much different than Peter or Silk. Keeping up with the number 1s, She-Hulk has a number 1 that came out as well by Rainbow Rowell, Roger Antonio, and Rico Renzi. So I wanted to pick this up. I haven't read a lot of She-Hulk stuff. We got the show coming out, and it was okay, man. It was lighthearted, kind of what I expected. You have She-Hulk, what is it, Jennifer Walters. She's getting a new chance at life here. She's kind of broke, kind of Peter Parker style, but she's got a lot of friends in high places, which affords her a place to kind of get on her feet, and kind of having this this battle with this longtime villain of hers. I forget her name, and kind of how the fighting is therapeutic for them both, and they kind of schedule time to beat each other's asses because they can handle it from each other. I don't know, I kind of dug it. Then we have 10 Lives and 10 Deaths of Wolverine, issue number 1, Benjamin Percy, Joshua Cassara, Frank Martin. I do want to say I'm happy to see all the Ghost Rider number 1 solicits by Benjamin Percy. I'm looking forward to that. So the 10 Lives of Wolverine was kind of weird, man. It was a thick, oversized book, but they used those pages, bigger panels, easier on the eyes, not dialogue heavy, and you have this new kind of Omega Red villain that can kind of possess people and jump from body to body. Pretty interesting stuff. I might have to flip through this to see what's the overall thing going on here. But I remember it being fast-paced. I got the books early. I read this one a while ago. It was all right. And we got Hulk, issue 3 by Donny Cates, Ryan Ottley, and Frank Martin. So help me understand this. What's going on here? So is Hulk really big and Banner is in his visor? Or is Banner shrunk down in a regular size Hulk? Because Hulk is like interacting with this other character here. He seems to be a regular size. The other character, I guess I don't want to spoil it, a familiar face who is studying Hulks across the multiverse. And then you have basically this Starship Hulk being fueled by Hulk's psyche inside in this danger room of sorts, fighting giant Wolverines to keep the rage going to power the ship. Is that what's going on? All right, then we have Venom number 4. This one's by Ram V, Hitch, Curry, and Sinclair. So Venom, yeah, I guess I'm not liking it as much as I liked it under Donny Cates. This one's focusing more on Dylan. He's captured. They're testing all these different symbiotes on him, and the Venom symbiote is out in the wild, and I guess they need to bond in order to save him, but, that's going against Eddie Brock's warning. I don't know, man. I'm waiting for the next arc. Hopefully, I don't know. We have to get Venom, essentially, right? The symbiote's got to bond with Dylan to become this book, which hasn't happened 4 issues in. We have Amazing Spider-Man 86. This one is by Wells, Dowling, Valencia. So kind of what I suspected. Marvel was biding time until they can get, Wells and Romita Jr. on as the main creative team of this book. But I really did like this one because the Beyond Corporation showing its true colors. Ben Reilly knows what's up from his interaction with Dr. Octopus last time. Yeah, let's get the Beyond Corporation out of here, and then we can have a good Spider-Man story. I like that's the direction that they're going in. Didn't really like the art so much on this one, although I did really like it in the Ben Reilly Spider-Man #1. I dig that new costume, kind of the tweak on the Sensational Spider-Man or the new Spider-Man costume. I like the direction it's going in because I hate Beyond Corporation, so let's keep up with that. All right, so we have a couple of Devil's Reign tie-ins. So let's talk about Devil's Reign Villains for Hire. This one's by Chapman, Garcia, and Sanchez Almara. So Villains for Hire is exactly what you think it is. It's Kingpin's Thunderbolts. He is outlawed superheroes and vigilantes in New York City as the mayor, and he has his own enforcers to enforce that law. That's what's happening here. I like the Taskmaster stuff. Agony as part of the Thunderbolts. It was okay. Then you have the Devil's Reign X-Men book. This was a little bit better. It felt like throwback Frank Miller, Elektra Kingpin stuff, but teaming up with Emma Frost. I thought that was pretty interesting as well. And tying it into what's happening in the X-Men ongoing with the Treehouse in Manhattan. If superheroes are outlawed, what's going on with the X-Men? Well, Fisk doesn't want them there either, so that's what this issue is about, which makes sense. I like how they're tying it into all the continuity that's happening in the Marvel Universe. That is enjoyable for me. And then we have a Death of Doctor Strange tie-in, which is another X-Men book, but it's a Black Knight book. This is all about Dane Whitman and his estranged daughter sharing the powers of the Black Knight. The X-Men have all been transformed into these evil beings with the death of Doctor Strange and all these sorcery veils that have been taken down since his death. So basically the Black Knight's got to save the X-Men. It was all right. And then the last one from Marvel, we have Moon Knight, issue #7, McKay, Sabatini, and Rosenberg. I mean, this one was okay. Basically just Moon Knight giving a warning to all the villains on the cover. He's here. He always has known about their hangout and what they've been up to. And he's taking the kid gloves off because he's trying to track down this Zodiac, this new villain that's been giving him troubles, interrogating 8-Ball. It was okay. It was kind of a filler issue. I liked a lot of these one-and-done Moon Knight issues that have been in this run so far, keeping the overarching story, but it was still enjoyable. Just not a lot happened. All right, guys, then moving on over to DC, we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, issue 7 of 8, Tom King, Evelyn Lopez. So I've really been liking this series. This kind of felt like a filler as well, kind of just heavy narration like we've been getting, but it didn't really have the payoff in this issue that it's had in the others. The girl, she's watching over her father's murderer. She's got the horse with her, and Supergirl's fighting this Super Mario 3 Bowser ship in the sky type of thing. Next issue is the last issue. They didn't conclude it in the penultimate issue, which is what they do a lot of times. So looking forward to seeing how it ends. Kind of assuming I know how it ends, but nonetheless, I still enjoyed this book, although it was a slower one out of the run. Moving on over to Robins. This is issue 3 of 6 by Tim Seeley, Rivas, and Ferraro Jr. I wasn't really digging this one. It was kind of all the Robins going against these D-list villains who put holograms over them to make them look like A-list Batman rogues. So I didn't really like all that, but I kind of like the twist at the end here with Tim Drake. Don't want to spoil it. It's only a 6-issue series. If you're really a Robin fan, you might want to pick it up. It's got all the Robins ever, including a new one that was the first one that we didn't know about. I didn't like it at first, but towards the end, I like how it wrapped up. It made me want to continue to read the series. All right, moving on over to Nightwing. This is issue 88. This one is by Tom Taylor, Rendondo, and Lucas. This one was okay too. A lot of times Nightwing, it comes out, it gets my pick of the week. Not this week. It was kind of just like Dick Grayson. He's trying to give away the billions, an assassination attempt on him. But if you're a Teen Titans fan, you're probably going to love this issue. I didn't really grow up with Teen Titans, but I can see how that would be powerful with what happens towards the end of this book here. So, I don't know, if you're a Teen Titans fan, let me know how much you like this issue. For me, I thought it was just okay. All right, then on to Batman and Detective Comics. We are on issue 1049. Tamaki Reyes, Miki Anderson. It's got a backup story, House of Gotham, Prisoner of the Mind. So we're dealing with this new Arkham Asylum, right? I don't know. I'm not really interested in this arc so far. We have kind of trying to reform criminals in a different way, using medication, which never really worked in the past. But there's all this type of creepy stuff going on in Arkham Asylum with this kind of orderly who seems to be creeping on prisoners or patients, I guess you want to call them. But really, it's like, are you going to be trying to take advantage of a serial killer? I don't think that's going to work out too well for you, and it doesn't really seem to. Overall, I don't know. This kind of whole arc has been a little bit slow for me. not digging it as much as like the previous stuff with Vile and all that kind of stuff. All right, guys, then on to my pick of the week. So in all honesty, there wasn't really a strong book out this week. Pick of the week was hard. I mean, I enjoyed a lot of these books. I ended up giving it to Batman the Knight. This is issue 1 out of a 10-issue series by Chip Zdarsky. He's joined by Giandomencio and Placencia. I love Chip Zdarsky. He's a great writer. I really like how he tackled this Batman story. It's a story of Bruce Wayne before he becomes Batman, but after his parents were murdered, his relationship with Alfred, getting in trouble and getting into fights in school, learning that he doesn't really need school. He just needs the knowledge, not so much the paper to prove it. And just kind of like Chip Zdarsky taking his time, giving us a Batman Begins. I mean, it's the story of Batman Begins on the cover. So it very much feels like the Batman Begins movie kind of in the beginning, but stretched out more because it was kind of like an 80s fight montage or workout montage in the movie. But this one, it feels like we're going to really see the transformation from Bruce Wayne to Batman. And it's told in a way that only Chip Zdarsky can tell it. So that got my pick of the week in an otherwise non-eventful week, but still decent reads nonetheless. Let me know what your favorite reads were in the comments down below. What was your pick of the week? I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to come check me out on Whatnot later today. And stay minty fresh. Peace.